Before we start, I want to say that only 1% of you are subscribed. Please subscribe because when we reach 1,000 subscribers, I will post a special video for you. Dr. Eli Turner stepped off the docking bay into the sprawling complex of the Orbital Harmony, a space station famed for its medical prowess and technological advancements. The airlock hissed shut behind him, a definitive end to the long journey from Earth. He was greeted by an assembly of species, each one a representative of different civilizations across the galaxy. A lean figure separated from the group, approaching with a gait that seemed to glide across the polished metal floor. "Welcome to Orbital Harmony, Dr. Turner," the creature said, extending a hand that had too many joints. "I am Dr. Cyril, Chief of Medical Research." "Thank you, Dr. Cyril," Turner replied, grasping the hand carefully. "I've heard much about your work." "As have we about yours," Cyril said, leading him away from the docking bay. "Your research on xenopathology is quite the buzz among our circles. We hope you'll find our facilities conducive to your work." They walked through corridors lined with bioluminescent panels, casting soft lights on their path. The tour was unexpectedly interrupted by another human figure, who matched Turner's pace with a friendly nod. "Dr. Turner, I'm Dr. Mark Jensen, one of the resident human medical officers here. It's good to see another Terran." "Good to meet you, Mark. Seems like I'm not as isolated as I expected," Turner chuckled, finding comfort in the presence of a fellow Earthling. "Isolation is a choice here, Eli," Jensen replied, smiling. "This place thrives on collaboration." Cyril led them into a vast room filled with equipment and screens displaying various biological and chemical data. "This is one of our main research labs. You'll spend a lot of your time here, examining new species and helping us develop treatments that are effective across different biological structures." Turner's eyes widened at the sight of the technology. "Incredible," he murmured, his gaze fixating on a holographic display of a cellular structure unlike any he had seen. "We hope you'll find our integrative approach beneficial," Cyril said, motioning to a tall, thin creature working at one of the stations. "This is KRYLL, a Zathorian biologist." KRYLL nodded at them, his eyes flickering with a tinge of blue light. "Welcome, Dr. Turner. I look forward to exchanging knowledge." The conversation turned to the technical as they discussed the station's current projects. Turner was particularly interested in a multi-species epidemiological study that Cyril mentioned. "As you can see, our work is as varied as the species that come through our doors," Cyril concluded as they wrapped up the tour back at the entrance of the research lab. "We deal with everything from common viral infections adapted to alien physiology to rare genetic disorders that challenge our understanding of life itself." Turner nodded, the weight of his mission settling in. "I'm here to learn and hopefully to contribute to your efforts. There's much to be done, and I'm eager to start." "Excellent," Cyril said, his voice carrying a tone of respect. "We'll begin first thing tomorrow. Rest up tonight. Your clearance and access will be ready by morning." As Turner made his way to the quarters assigned to him, the possibilities of what tomorrow could bring filled him with a deep, invigorating anticipation. He knew this was the beginning of something monumental, not just for his career but for the broader understanding of life itself. The next morning, Dr. Eli Turner was early to rise, his internal clock still set to Earth time. As he made his way through the quiet corridors of the Orbital Harmony, he could feel the hum of the station waking up around him. His first stop was the medical lab, where he hoped to familiarize himself with the equipment before the day officially started. As he entered the lab, he found Dr. Mark Jensen already there, poring over a digital tablet filled with complex charts and data. Jensen looked up and greeted him with a warm smile. "Morning, Eli. Ready to dive into the alien gene pool?" Turner chuckled, adjusting his lab coat. "As ready as I'll ever be. What's on the agenda for today?" "We've got a fascinating case from a newly discovered species on the Outer Rim," Jensen explained as he handed over the tablet. "They seem to have a unique regenerative ability. We're trying to isolate the genes responsible." Turner's eyes lit up with curiosity as he scrolled through the data. "Regenerative, you say? That could have huge implications." "Exactly," Jensen said, leading Turner to a microscope equipped with holographic enhancement. "Take a look at this tissue sample." As Turner examined the sample, Dr. Cyril entered the lab, accompanied by another human, a rugged man with a friendly demeanor. "Good morning, gentlemen. Eli, this is Dr. Theo Reynolds, our xenoneurologist. Pleasure to meet you, Dr. Turner." Reynolds extended his hand. "I've heard great things about your work with pathogen-host interactions." "Thank you, Dr. Reynolds," Turner replied, shaking his hand. "I'm eager to learn from all of you as well." "Speaking of which," Cyril interjected, "we have a session planned this morning on our diagnostic tools tailored for non-Terran physiology. Theo, perhaps you could start with the neural imaging techniques?" "Of course," Reynolds agreed, motioning for everyone to follow him to another section of the lab. Here, rows of advanced imaging machines stood, each designed for different species anatomies. These tools help us visualize neural activity in ways conventional human equipment can't. "For example, this scanner here," he said, pointing to a large, cylindrical device, "can map the neural pathways of species with amorphous bodies." Turner was intrigued. Amorphous bodies? That must require some adaptive imaging algorithms. "Absolutely," Reynolds replied. "It's about understanding the fundamental differences and similarities in biological systems across species. It's not just about adapting our tools, but our mindsets." As the morning progressed, the group delved deeper into discussions about cross-species medicine and the challenges it presented. They shared insights from their diverse fields, each contributing to a holistic understanding of the complex cases they handled. After a short break, Cyril guided them to a conference room where a large screen displayed a three-dimensional model of an alien anatomy. "Let's put theory into practice," Cyril suggested. "We have a live case coming in soon. A Zathorian with a chronic condition that has baffled our best experts." Jensen, who had been quiet, spoke up. "I think this could be a good opportunity for Eli to get his hands dirty, so to speak. Observing a live diagnostic process could provide invaluable insights." "Agreed," Turner nodded, eager to see the theories applied in real time. The session continued with Cyril explaining the typical physiological traits of the Zathorian species, detailing their circulatory and respiratory equivalents, and discussing the possible causes of the chronic condition based on previous cases. As the discussion wrapped up, Turner felt a renewed sense of purpose. The complexities of alien medicine were daunting, yet incredibly exciting. He was not just on the frontier of human knowledge, but at the crossroads of interstellar understanding. "Thanks for the comprehensive rundown," Turner said as they prepared to leave the conference room. "I'm looking forward to seeing these theories in action, and we're just as excited to have fresh eyes on these old problems," Cyril responded, with a tone of genuine appreciation. "Welcome aboard, Dr. Turner." As they left the room, Turner felt more than just the weight of the lab coat on his shoulders. He carried the potential to bridge worlds through science. The rest of the day promised new learning and, perhaps, new breakthroughs. It was mid-morning in the Orbital Harmony's primary medical bay, and the team was in full swing, prepping for the arrival of the Zathorian patient. Dr. Eli Turner, Dr. Mark Jensen, and Dr. Theo Reynolds gathered around a large holographic display, reviewing the patient's medical history. The Zathorian's condition appears to be a complex interaction between their unique physiology and an unknown pathogen, Reynolds explained, pointing at the fluctuating data points on the screen. Jensen nodded thoughtfully. "It's rare to see such a rapid progression in their species. Typically, Zathorians have a slow disease course due to their extended lifespan." As they discussed the possible interventions, the patient, a towering figure with a translucent, shimmering skin, was wheeled in on a floating stretcher. Turner's gaze was drawn to the gentle pulsating glow of the patient's chest, indicative of their discomfort. "Let's begin with a non-invasive scan to assess the current state," Turner suggested, adjusting the settings on the scanner to accommodate the Zathorian's unique biology. As Turner initiated the scan, an alarm suddenly blared, a warning of a critical power fluctuation. In the chaos, the patient's stretcher destabilized momentarily, causing him to fall towards a sharp corner of the nearby equipment. Reacting instinctively, Turner lunged to redirect the patient's fall, but in doing so, he himself was impaled by the equipment. The room fell silent as Turner staggered back, a sharp rod protruding from his side. Jensen and Reynolds rushed to his aid, expecting the worst. "Hold on, Eli. Just stay with us," Jensen urged, his voice tight with concern. But to everyone's astonishment, Turner pulled the rod from his side with little hesitation. Blood flowed, but not as profusely as one would expect. "It's okay," he said, wincing but remarkably composed. "I think it missed the vital organs." Reynolds, still in shock, helped Turner to a nearby chair. "You should be in shock. The pain." "I know, but I'm not," Turner interrupted, his breathing steady. "Let's focus on the patient. We can sort me out later." As Reynolds and Jensen attended to the Zethorian, Turner monitored his own wound, applying pressure. Cyril entered the bay, drawn by the commotion. "What happened here?" he demanded, quickly assessing the situation. "Eli saved the patient from a worse injury but got hurt himself," Jensen explained as they stabilized the Zathorian. Cyril approached Turner, examining the wound with a diagnostic tool. "This is remarkable. You're already clotting, and your vitals are stabilizing faster than any human should." Turner managed a weak smile. "Guess there's still a lot we don't know about human endurance, huh?" As the emergency settled and the patient was once again stable, the team's focus returned to Turner. Cyril insisted on a full scan. "This isn't just good fortune, Eli. There's something physiologically extraordinary about you." Lying in the scanner, Turner thought about his body's inexplicable reaction. He had always healed quickly, but never had it been put to such a test. "Maybe it's time we studied this, too," he mused aloud. "Agreed," Cyril said, his eyes scanning the preliminary results. "You could be a key to new medical advancements, not just for humans but for all species." Jensen, looking on, added, "Today you were both a doctor and a patient, Eli. Let's make sure you end up as an example of the former by the end of this." Turner laughed softly, the tension easing around him. "Let's get back to work then. We have a patient who needs us and possibly a new research project." As the team rallied around both the Zathorian and one of their own, Turner felt a profound sense of belonging. This was more than just a job. It was a chance to change the universe, one extraordinary event at a time. The morning after the accident, Dr. Eli Turner felt surprisingly spry as he walked into the medical bay for a follow-up examination. The atmosphere was charged with a mix of concern and scientific curiosity, primarily due to the near-miraculous recovery he had displayed. Dr. Mark Jensen and Dr. Theo Reynolds were already there, discussing the day's schedule, but their conversation paused as Turner approached. "Morning, Eli," Jensen greeted him, his tone a mixture of relief and disbelief. "How are you feeling today?" "Better than I should be, all things considered," Turner replied, patting his side where the wound had been. It was healing at an unprecedented rate. Reynolds chimed in, "We've been reviewing your scans from last night. Honestly, Eli, your recovery rate is off the charts. We're thinking of running some comparative analysis between your DNA and some of the regenerative species we've studied." "That sounds like a plan," Turner agreed, settling into the examination chair. "Maybe there's something in my genetic makeup that's been activated or mutated." Dr. Cyril joined them, carrying a portable data pad loaded with charts and genetic sequences. "Good morning, Eli. I took the liberty of compiling some genetic data from other species with notable healing abilities. I thought we could look for any common markers." Turner nodded appreciatively. "Let's see what we find. Who knows? Maybe my accident will turn out to be a boon for medical science." As Cyril activated the holographic display, sequences of DNA spiraled into view, each tagged with annotations. The four doctors leaned in, comparing the data points with Turner's DNA. Here, Reynolds pointed at a sequence. "This gene is known for its role in cellular regeneration in the Varn species. Eli, your sequence has a remarkably similar pattern here." "Interesting," Jensen noted, zooming in on the comparison. "But Eli's sequence has a mutation here that doesn't appear in the Varn. Could that be what's enhancing the effect?" "Possibly," Cyril mused. "This could explain the rapid healing, but it raises the question. How did this mutation occur in a human? It's not something we've seen before." The discussion deepened, with each doctor theorizing potential causes and implications. They decided to document everything meticulously, planning to publish their findings for the broader scientific community. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves," Turner interjected. "We still need to confirm these findings with more tests." "I'm all for advancing science, but let's make sure we're on solid ground." "Agreed," Cyril said, marking the data for further analysis. Eli, we'll need to monitor you closely over the next few days. Any change in your condition could be crucial. As the examination wrapped up, Jensen stayed back with Turner. This could really change how we approach medicine for high-risk exploratory missions, he reflected. If we could replicate or stimulate this gene in other humans. Turner smiled. From accidental guinea pig to the forefront of interspecies medical research, I guess every cloud does have a silver lining. More than just a silver lining, I'd say, Jensen replied. You might be the key to a new era in medical technology. Feeling a mix of excitement and responsibility, Turner looked at his colleagues. Then let's make sure we do this right. Not just for us, but for anyone who ventures into the stars. As they left the medical bay, their conversation continued, now focused on the future possibilities. The incident had brought them together in unexpected ways, and now, they were not just colleagues but co-researchers on the brink of a significant discovery. Later that evening, after a long day of research and discussions, Dr. Eli Turner found himself walking alongside Dr. Theo Reynolds, heading towards the station's observatory, a dome offering a panoramic view of the cosmos. I thought you could use a break, Reynolds said, noticing Turner's exhaustion. And besides, there's something peaceful about watching the stars. Helps put things in perspective. Turner smiled gratefully. Thanks, Theo. I guess it does get a bit overwhelming sometimes. As they entered the observatory, the vastness of space stretched out before them, speckled with countless stars. They stood in silence for a moment, each lost in the grandeur of the view. I've been thinking about our discussions today, Reynolds began, breaking the silence, about human potential and the unknowns of our own biology. It's fascinating how much we still have to learn about ourselves. Turner nodded. It's humbling. Makes you realize how much we take for granted about our own bodies and capabilities. The conversation drifted from scientific speculations to more personal reflections. Turner shared more about his background, his hopes for the future, and his initial fears when he decided to join the Orbital Harmony team. Reynolds listened intently, then shared his own story of how he became a xenoneurologist, driven by a desire to understand the neurological diversity of the universe. Every species has something unique, something miraculous about its brain function. It's like looking into a living museum of natural history. Their talk gradually became more introspective, and the distance between them seemed to shrink. Reynolds glanced at Turner, a thoughtful expression on his face. Eli, have you ever considered that maybe it's not just about what we study, but who we study with that shapes our understanding? Turner met his gaze, sensing a deeper connection forming. I think you might be right. It's the interactions, the shared curiosity. That's what really drives discovery. Encouraged by the openness, Reynolds stepped closer, his voice softening. And sometimes, those interactions lead to unexpected personal discoveries, don't they? Turner felt a gentle pull in his chest, a mix of anticipation and nervousness. Yes, they do. He paused, then added, Theo, Reynolds reached out, touching Turner's arm lightly. It's okay, Eli. I feel it too. There's something between us, more than just intellectual compatibility. Their eyes locked, and for a heartbeat, the universe seemed to pause. Slowly, tentatively, they moved closer. Turner felt Reynolds' breath mingling with his, the warmth of his face inches away. Then, cautiously, they kissed, a soft, questioning kiss that spoke of curiosity and mutual respect. As they parted, Turner felt a rush of emotions. I wasn't expecting this, he admitted, his voice a whisper. Neither was I, Reynolds replied, his hand still resting on Turner's arm. But sometimes, the best discoveries are the unexpected ones. They spent a few more moments together, watching the stars and talking quietly. It was a new kind of exploration, a personal journey that complemented their scientific endeavors. Finally, Turner broke the comfortable silence. We should head back, he suggested, a reluctant note in his voice. Reynolds nodded, his expression content. Yes, but let's keep this discovery between us for now. We'll see where it leads, without any pressure or expectations. As they walked back to their quarters, Turner felt a newfound energy. His relationship with Reynolds had taken an unexpected turn, but it was a welcome development in the strange and beautiful frontier of space. They had crossed a threshold, not just of scientific understanding but of personal connection, and the future seemed filled with potential. The next few days on the orbital Harmony were a blend of rigorous scientific inquiry and subtle, personal exchanges between Dr. Eli Turner and Dr. Theo Reynolds. However, the whispers about their growing closeness did not take long to spread through the diverse crew of the space station. In the cafeteria, where crew members of various species mingled, Turner found himself the subject of curious glances and hushed discussions. He met Dr. Mark Jensen for lunch, who greeted him with a wry smile. "Word travels fast in space, doesn't it?" Jensen remarked as they sat down with their trays. Turner sighed, stirring his meal absent-mindedly. "It seems so. Is it that obvious?" "Only to those who are paying attention," Jensen replied. "But you know how it is here. Different cultures, different sensibilities. Not everyone might understand or appreciate. Well, the nature of your relationship with Theo." "I'm aware," Turner acknowledged. "But it's not like we're flaunting anything. We're professionals." "True, but even professionals can be misinterpreted, especially in a place as culturally diverse as this. Just tread carefully, my friend." Their conversation was interrupted when Dr. Cyril approached, his expression unreadable. "Eli, a moment, if you please." Turner nodded to Jensen and followed Cyril to a quieter corner of the cafeteria. Cyril was direct, his voice low. "Eli, it's come to my attention that you and Dr. Reynolds have become quite close. While personal relationships are not prohibited here, the interspecies aspect can raise eyebrows, perhaps even concerns." Turner met Cyril's gaze firmly. "I understand, Cyril, but Theo and we're not letting it interfere with our work." "That may be, but perception is often as influential as reality," Cyril cautioned. "Just be mindful of how this might be viewed by others, especially those from cultures with strict norms about interspecies interactions." Turner nodded. "I appreciate your concern, and will be discreet." As Cyril left, Turner felt a mix of frustration and resolve. He returned to Jensen, who offered a sympathetic look. Later that day, Turner and Reynolds met in the lab, their conversation subdued but earnest. "Theo, we need to be careful," Turner started, glancing around to ensure privacy. "Cyril spoke to me today about us. It seems our relationship is stirring more than just scientific curiosity." Reynolds frowned, his worry evident. "I feared as much. This station is a microcosm of the galaxy, full of varied beliefs and biases. Maybe we should—" "No," Turner interjected. "We shouldn't have to hide or pretend. But maybe we need to be a bit more cautious about how we handle things in public." Reynolds agreed, his hand briefly squeezing Turner's. "All right, caution, then. But I don't want to lose what we've started, Eli. Not over gossip or fear. That's not on the table," Turner reassured him. "We just need to navigate this as wisely as we can." Their discussion was pragmatic but hopeful, outlining how they could continue both their professional and personal relationships under the scrutinizing eyes of a diverse space station populace. That evening, as Turner walked the quiet halls of the station, he reflected on the complexities of life in space. Not just the scientific challenges, but the social and cultural ones as well. His relationship with Reynolds had become another facet of his journey, a personal exploration amid the stars that was both thrilling and daunting. As he gazed out a viewport at the sprawling cosmos, Turner felt a sense of determination. No matter the challenges, he knew that the pursuit of understanding, both scientific and personal, was worth the complexities it brought. The universe was vast, and so were the possibilities it held. In the weeks following the subtle shifts in his personal life, Dr. Eli Turner found himself deeply engrossed in a new wave of research, spurred by his unique genetic condition. Alongside Dr. Mark Jensen and Dr. Theo Reynolds, he delved into a series of experiments designed to explore and possibly replicate his rapid healing abilities. The lab was buzzing with activity as Turner and Jensen reviewed the latest batch of data. The holographic displays were lit with complex genetic maps and cellular imagery, illustrating the promising yet perplexing nature of their findings. "Look at this, Eli." Jensen pointed to a cluster of genetic markers highlighted on the screen. These sequences seem to respond exceptionally well to synthetic stimulants we derived from your blood samples. It's almost as if your DNA has a built-in mechanism for enhanced cellular regeneration. Turner, his eyes scanning the data, nodded slowly. It's fascinating. If we can isolate the trigger for these mechanisms, we might be able to develop treatments for a myriad of diseases, perhaps even extend it to other species. As they discussed potential applications, Reynolds walked in, a digital tablet in his hand. I just got the latest simulation results. They're promising but also a bit troubling. The enhanced genes show potential for misuse if not properly regulated. Jensen frowned. Misuse? Yes, Reynolds replied, pulling up a chart on his tablet. Imagine a scenario where this genetic advantage is weaponized or used to create biological inequalities among species. We need to consider the ethical dimensions of our research. Turner considered this, his excitement tempered by the gravity of Reynolds' words. You're right, Theo. We're treading into uncharted territory here. This isn't just about medical breakthroughs. It's about how they're implemented responsibly. The trio convened around the main lab table, poring over all the data they had collected. They discussed strategies not only for further research, but also for ensuring ethical compliance and safeguards. We should draft a proposal for the ethics committee, Turner suggested. Outline our findings, our goals, and the potential risks. Full transparency. Jensen agreed, tapping notes into the lab's central system. I'll start drafting the document. We'll need comprehensive guidelines and oversight if this is going to move forward. As they worked, the intercom buzzed, and Dr. Searle's voice came through, requesting Turner's presence in his office. Turner excused himself and made his way to Searle, curious about the sudden call. Entering Searle's office, he found the chief researcher looking unusually perturbed. Eli, your project has come to the attention of the station's High Council. They're concerned about the implications of your research. Turner took a seat, his mind racing. I understand their concerns, Searle. That's why we're putting together an ethics proposal. We want to ensure that this research is used for the betterment of all, not for creating divisions or conflicts. Searle nodded, his expression softening. I appreciate that, Eli. I've always admired your integrity. Just be prepared to defend your project. There will be a lot of eyes on you now, perhaps more than ever. I'm ready for that, Turner affirmed, his resolve clear. This research could change lives. I owe it to everyone, human and alien alike, to see this through responsibly. As Turner left Searle's office, he felt the weight of the responsibility on his shoulders, but also a sense of profound purpose. Returning to the lab, he shared the conversation with Jensen and Reynolds. We've got our work cut out for us, he said, more determined than ever. Let's make sure we're not just creating a scientific legacy, but a benevolent one. With renewed vigor, the team resumed their work, each aware of the historic implications of their research. They were not just chasing a scientific breakthrough. They were shaping the future of interspecies medical science. The day of the presentation to the High Council had arrived, and Dr. Eli Turner felt a mixture of anticipation and nervousness. Alongside Dr. Mark Jensen and Dr. Theo Reynolds, he had prepared meticulously, ensuring every aspect of their research was presented clearly, ethically, and with foresight. In the large conference room at the top of the orbital harmony, representatives of various species filled the seats, their expressions ranging from curious to cautious. Turner, Jensen, and Reynolds stood at the forefront, ready to share their findings. Honorable members of the council, Turner began, his voice steady despite the butterflies in his stomach. We stand before you today to discuss a discovery that has the potential to alter medical science across species. Jensen took over, clicking to a slide showing the genetic markers they had studied. Our research has identified a set of genes in Dr. Turner that accelerate cellular regeneration. Our tests indicate that these genes, with careful application, could be adapted to other species, offering enhanced healing and potentially eradicating certain diseases. Reynolds then addressed the ethical concerns. We're acutely aware of the potential risks. Without proper oversight, the implications could be dangerous. We propose a multi-species ethical committee to oversee this research, ensuring it's used for the common good. The room buzzed with whispers and nods, some skeptical, others intrigued. A distinguished-looking member of the council, a tall, scaled alien, raised a hand. Dr. Turner, while your findings are indeed promising, how do you propose to manage the distribution of this technology? How will you prevent it from becoming a commodity that could deepen existing divides? Turner acknowledged the question with a nod. An excellent point, and one we've given much thought to. Our proposal includes the formation of a distribution framework that prioritizes medical necessity over profit. We believe that this technology should be a right, not a privilege. The council members conferred among themselves, their tones a murmur of interspecies dialects. After a few moments, the head of the council, a wise old figure with luminescent eyes, spoke. Dr. Turner, your team's dedication to ethical science is commendable. We are inclined to support your research, with the stipulation that the ethical committee you proposed is set up immediately and reports directly to this council. Relief washed over Turner and his team as they exchanged looks of muted celebration. Thank you, council members. We agree wholeheartedly and will ensure transparency and accountability at every step. Turner responded, his relief palpable. As the meeting adjourned, many council members approached to offer their congratulations and discuss potential collaborations. The atmosphere was electric with possibilities, the beginning of a new era in medical science. Later, back in the lab, Turner, Jensen, and Reynolds gathered for a quiet celebration. We did it, Jensen said, clapping Turner on the back. Thanks to your unusual condition, Eli. We're on the path to something groundbreaking. Reynolds smiled, his earlier concerns eased by the council's response. It's going to be a lot of work, but it's worth it. Changing the universe for the better. There's nothing quite like it. Turner looked between his colleagues, his friends, feeling a profound connection to both them and the work they were doing. This is just the beginning, he said. We have a chance to make a real difference. Let's make sure we do it right. As they resumed their work, the lab filled with a new sense of purpose. Turner felt a deep, satisfying joy. Not only had they crossed a scientific frontier, but they had also navigated the complex web of interspecies politics and ethics. The future was uncertain, but it was bright, filled with promise and the potential for profound good. Outside, the stars shone brightly against the dark canvas of space, a silent witness to the small but significant steps being taken within the walls of orbital harmony. In the vastness of the cosmos, they had found a new path forward, together,